Ukraine's former president Petro Poroshenko has returned to Kiev from Warsaw to fight charges of high treason. Prosecutors have set bail at 30 million euros. Poroshenko addressed supporters who were outside the court. He told them he had returned to help protect his country from a possible Russian invasion despite the risk of arrest. The charges come amid heightened tensions with Russia over its troop buildup along Ukraine's eastern border. Joining me now from Kiev is Peter Dickinson, the Ukraine editor of the international affairs think tank, The Atlantic Council. Good evening, Peter, and thanks for coming on. So, critics say the charges are politically motivated, aimed at discrediting Poroshenko to distract from Ukraine's current problems. So what could the prosecution mean for the credibility of Ukraine's fledgling democracy?
Good evening, Stefan. Thank you for having me on the show. It's a pleasure to join you. The charges are potentially explosive for Ukraine's democracy. I think it's crucial to underline here that Petro Poroshenko is not only Ukraine's former president, he's also the chief rival to the current president, Volodymyr Zelensky. So the prosecution is seen by many as an attempt by Zelensky to discredit his main rival, to undermine him, and in particular to tar him with the brush of treason. You know, obviously the most explosive charge that could be leveled against any head of state, really. And Poroshenko's great strength is seen as a patriotic leader who led Ukraine through the very difficult first years of the conflict with Russia from 2014. So the idea of now labeling him as a traitor, essentially, is potentially very damaging for him, but also the political nature of the charges and of the case in general casts quite a shadow over Ukraine's credentials as a fledgling democracy, as you mentioned, as one of Europe's newest democracies, and as a country that's looking to consolidate its democracy.
So with the Russian military massed at the Ukrainian border, could the prosecution of Poroshenko undermine national unity at this crucial moment?
Certainly, that is the great fear. That's something that Poroshenko himself has played up, understandably so. He's mentioned that directly and accused Zelensky of gambling with Ukraine's fate, Ukraine's security. But obviously, that's a big risk. We're talking about a split between the two leading figures in Ukrainian politics, potentially very polarizing. If the prosecution proceeds, and if, for example, Poroshenko is convicted, or even if he's held in detention, it will create enormous tension at a time when Ukraine's national unity is crucial. We have approximately 100 to maybe more Russian troops along the border. Reports are coming in on an almost hourly basis of increasing build-ups of new Russian formations reaching the border area. The rhetoric coming from Russia is alarming, to say the least. There is no real no real prospect of any compromise areas. The talks with the Western organizations, the US, NATO, and the OSCE last week with Russia were fruitless. The bench basically ended without any positive development. So at this stage, Ukraine's security situation is on a knife edge, and arguably the last thing the country needs is to have a major political crisis. So a lot of people in Kiev are questioning exactly why President Zelensky feels that now is a good time to take on this issue.